part of the reason why we started this show is because we do see that the majority of humanity is on the same page from our perspective, but yet the media isn't necessarily covering the stories or addressing these issues or even speaking to these numbers that you were just talking about. Why do you think the media focuses more on sensationalism, short-term efforts essentially to divide us, essentially it seems like, rather than the long-term problem-solving, thought-provoking stories?
I'm not sure I can answer that question. I've got a daughter who is an important on-air figure on Colorado Public Radio in Denver. Very proud of her. She's the kind of journalist that I admire and respect. She doesn't play that kind of game, but she does terrific reporting. I've got a granddaughter who's now an investigative reporter for ABC News in Washington, just won her third Emmy. But both of them, it seems to me, have an attitude about their responsibility to be responsible journalists. Having said that, look, if it bleeds, it leads. I mean, this has been going on for a long time, you know. Hearst didn't show up yesterday. I mean, tabloid journalism goes back a long, long way. And it's always going to be with us. But if we want to deal with that kind of stuff, then those of us who believe that there's a much better and more positive future out there have got to hone our press skills. I mean, we've got to take the press seriously. One of the things that drives people nuts who come out of the private sector and work in government is that the press just, you know, they can't deal with it. You know, and you can't be effective in the public sector unless you're reasonably comfortable and skilled at dealing with the press. Doesn't mean that, you know, we're all great press folks, but you've got to expect the fact that you're going to do this and that you're going to compete when it comes to press with, shall we say, less responsible elements. And that requires, you know, when I was a young legislator, very often on a Sunday, I'd take one of my kids, go down to the Globe, the Herald, the AP, and the UP, and drop off my releases. Why? Because it was kind of sleepy in the afternoon in these places, and if somebody came along with an interesting piece of news, he'd get a headline on Monday. There was only one other legislator who would do that, and we'd meet each other from time to time. He with one of his kids, Ray Flint. He became mayor and I became governor. Now, it wasn't the only reason we got elected, but you know, the effective use of the press is something you've got to train yourself to try to do. You won't win every time, but if you don't develop those skills, don't be surprised if you get overwhelmed by something.